Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and this is our, feels a bit insincere to call it weekly TV news right now, but this is a TV news which we've not had in over a month, and the reason's obvious. I don't have to explain it really. There's just not been a lot of news because of what's going on in the world, and there probably won't be one next week, I don't think. I imagine it'll at least be a couple of weeks before the next one until things start ramping up at some point, whenever that may be. There's still announcements coming for things coming in the future, but obviously as time goes on and productions are still shut down, things can't be coming out. But there's some news this week, and it's been a while. We wanted to touch base and see what's going on in the world. So yeah, we talk about renewals, cancellations, premiere dates, obviously shows in development, pilot orders, all that kind of thing. And there are some. It's not a packed week. Don't get me wrong. This is not like one of the biggest weeks of news we've ever had.
I just checked when the last one was. The last one was when we talked about the Last of Us show, and that was on March 16th.
Yeah, about a month then.
Yeah.
Yeah, about a month. So yeah, we'll get into it then. We got a couple of quick things at the start, just some cancellations, not for shows that we actually watch or cover, but just thought I'd mention them. Party of Five got cancelled at Freeform after one season, so I didn't last long. You've heard of? Okay, we've talked about it before. You've heard of the original Party of Five, starring Neve Campbell and Matthew Fox?
Sure, yeah, but this one I don't recall. Yeah, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, it was the parents, instead of dying, they were deported.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, right. So we had God Friended Me cancelled after 2 seasons at CBS. I do wonder how many shows are going to get axed this year that might have survived otherwise, but because of the delays and because of things being shut down, it just became easier to cancel a lot of stuff and start fresh with other things later.
It's interesting because I think last time we did a news episode, we speculated it might go the other way, in that pilots, it's going to be awkward to kind of do pilots and get the production of everything up and running from scratch. It might be easier just to do another season. It might be a bit late, but we can just kind of carry on with what we've got going. Everything's in place to get going immediately.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, it's entirely possible these cancellations are just cancellations that happened anyway. This was because obviously X amount of stuff gets cancelled every year. Yeah. But
it's that time of year that we tend to start hearing about these things.
We'll see if it ramps up, though. We'll see if there's going to be a lot more cancellations in the coming weeks. But we got some premiere dates. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., obviously one that we are interested in. It has been, it was finished a while ago, so it's definitely ready to go. That is coming in May, where we're getting the final season of that. So that's just really good news. They're going to start this Wednesdays at 10 p.m, so it's a little bit different than last year, which I think was on Fridays.
Yeah, I guess they've got nothing else to fill that Wednesday slot right now.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just scrolling down for the actual date here because they've ordered it really weird in this article. May 27th is the premiere date itself. So yeah, obviously we're excited. 13 episode season. It's at least one thing that'll be on new over the summer because there's not going to be a lot. There's one thing to talk about HBO Next, admittedly, but
yeah, but it's feeling like slim pickings. And in HBO's case, okay, sure, they'll have something over the summer, but we might have a period after that. It might be kind of a delayed.
Yeah, it's what comes after the summer show that I think might not be there in time to actually go. And on that subject, we get a trailer and a premiere date for Perry Mason. June 21st is the date in this case. This is a show starring John Lithgow, is it Rhys Davis?
Matthew Rhys,
there you go. There's a Rhys in there.
Yeah.
And this is a pulpy 1930s, 40s noir. The music's very, all the horns that are kind of muted and kind of yeah.
From what I can tell, this was, I think it was originally books. There was like a TV show in like the 50s. There was some like a series of TV movies in like the 80s. Yeah, so it's like a franchise people are familiar with to some extent.
Yeah,
me personally.
I'd heard of the name Perry Mason, but I couldn't have told you what it was or what the type of material it was. It's not something I am in any way familiar with, but this is the new big Perry Mason thing that HBO are doing, which harkens back to an older property. The trailer seems okay. It's one of those things where I look at it, obviously they spent a lot of money. It looks very slick. It looks like they put a lot of money into the time period, making sure it's like a proper period piece that looks of its time. Kind of like how they did with Boardwalk Empire or anything else. I'm 50-50 on it though. I can see this equally being something that I either get into or very quickly fall away from, and I'll lose some credit for people. But I tried Boardwalk Empire. I watched like 2 episodes, and I was good. I backed away.
I get it. I felt like this could be a really fun noir thing, or it could be a really dry period piece.
Yeah,
it could go either way.
Yeah, they're definitely playing with that. They want to have. I mean, again, I've not seen or read any Perry Mason stuff, so I don't know exactly what it's going for specifically. But watching this, I'm definitely getting like the LA Confidential kind of vibe or whatever.
Which, if it's done well, could be really good.
I mean, it could be. I mean, I like John Lithgow.
John Lithgow's great.
I love John Lithgow.
Yeah, and what's her name's in it as well? Tatiana
Maslany from Orphan Black.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah. Visually, it's down. I'm concerned that the plot won't be for me, but I mean, obviously we're going to try it. I mean, what else are we going to do? As long as anything else on in June.
I know, middle of June. We're not going to have E3 to look forward to, so might as well watch some TV.
Yeah. Comic-Con finally officially got cancelled, so
yes.
Everything. I mean, obviously, we all knew it was going to be. They were being stubborn for like over a month by not doing it, but whatever.
Yeah. I like that with that announcement, they also cancelled WonderCon, which was last month.
Yeah, because they delayed it and said we're going to have it some time later, and then eventually they said, "Nah, it's not going to happen." I don't know who it was, but one of the big pop artists delayed all their dates to 2021. They're not even going to pretend that it's going to happen later this year. Was it Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I saw the post just before we started recording.
Yeah, she's nightmare fuel. I saw Cats. She's nightmare fuel.
She's fantastic.
She's nightmare fuel.
She can be both.
I don't know any of her songs anyway. It doesn't really matter.
You're missing out.
I don't think I am. I've got a sneaking suspicion it's not for me. So next up, we got some casting for Your Stupid Star Wars show. The Rogue One. Stellan Skarsgård and 101 Dalmatian Street's Kyle Solar, who I'm not familiar with, are in talks for the Rogue One prequel series. That's basically it.
I like Skarsgård.
Yeah, Skarsgård. Some people think of Thor when they think of him. The first thing I think of is him pissing off the balcony in Deep Blue Sea.
It's a good first thing to think of as any.
Yeah.
I mean, it tells me nothing about the quality of the show of what it's going to be, but I like him as an actor, so can only think of it as positive news. I don't know the other person, so opinion not swayed either way.
Yeah, that's fair. Next up, we have a big first look deal. I don't always talk about these necessarily, but this one seemed sort of in our wheelhouse enough to kind of mention it. Boom Studios have signed a first look deal with Netflix. Honestly, the most interesting part of this is that they actually had the first look deal with Fox, but after the Disney Fox buyout, it kind of got in the way and kind of fell apart. They were supposed to be putting out an animated movie based on one of the properties later this year, and it completely just went away because of the Fox buyout. To
Disney. Be fair, so did every other movie released later this year.
I mean, true, but it's not for the same reasons.
It's not, no.
So they've got a new deal with Netflix. No particular, this is a property we're doing first or anything like that. But yes, so
I know. Boom do Ronan Island. That's Boom, right? Because I saw the artist of that tweeting like, "Hey, let's get a Netflix show of it." It
is worth mentioning though that the deal they had with Fox still technically exists until 2021, January 2021. So they still technically can't release anything until next year.
Can they work on stuff before
that? Although they're still releasing one thing, or at least tentatively. They're releasing The Empty Man in August, which is a supernatural thriller.
Sure they are.
So we'll see. The thing that got cancelled though because of the buyout was the $150 million animated movie Mouse Guard, directed by Wes Ball.
I remember seeing about that, and it looked fantastic.
That got cancelled. Well, I mean, I assume The Empty Man has already been shot, and that's why it's still going to come out at some point. I mean, does it come out in when they're planning it right now? Probably not, but we'll see. I mean, honestly, look, given that we've not heard of it, this could be small enough to just go to VOD.
Yeah, throw it on Hulu or whatever.
No, just VOD, just for rental.
I mean, they can do. I say that because I don't think Disney have really done that yet. Except everything's been VOD and then to one of their services like Disney Plus.
Sure, but I mean, there's no reason to jump to streaming services because I mean, everyone keeps saying put Black Widow on Disney Plus. No, that movie costs hundreds of millions of dollars. They make no money by putting it on there.
Oh, absolutely. The only one of theirs that is big enough that I'm going, no, just throw it on Disney Plus, because what else are you gonna do is New Mutants. Just give up. Just give up and put it on Disney Plus.
They're gonna be they're gonna be stubborn with that. I mean, I know
they paid nothing towards the production. Just give up.
and I know they put Onward out, but they did release that theatrically for a while first. It wasn't a complete write off.
They had like a week of it theatrically, I think. Maybe
Something
two.
like that, yeah, maybe two. It wasn't a long time, but they did get their opening weekend or so out of it.
They did, yes.
So that's that. So that on to the big news. This is kind of the reason why there's a news show this week, is this particular announcement, because this was, I was like, oh, this looks big enough to talk about. So J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot Productions have got 3 shows in the works, green-lighted specifically from HBO Max. One of which is Overlook, which is inspired by The Shining. So there's going to be a Shining TV show produced by Bad Robot. There's going to be a show called Duster, which we'll get to what this may be in a minute. And then the third one is a DC show. They're going to do a Justice League Dark show. So that is the 3 things that they announced that were greenlit at HBO Max this week. So, first up, Overlook, inspired by and featuring the iconic characters from King's The Shining. So, featuring the characters is interesting. That says it's not just like, in the hotel years later or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it is, but at the very least, they're going to have a grown-up Danny, or they're going to have...
So it's kind of their Doctor Sleep then.
Oh no, it could be the opposite though. It could be characters who are in The Shining, and it's a prequel of them younger who worked at the hotel.
Oh,
It could be I can't remember his name, but the guy who teaches him about The Shining. Like maybe it's him and he's young
groundskeepery fella.
Yeah, like, maybe it's him in his 20s when he first started working at the hotel or something. It could be that equally.
Could be.
But it's going to be based around the hotel. Not much more than that. It makes sense. Obviously, Castle Rock existed, had a 2-season run on Hulu. But
yeah, my gut reaction is I don't really need / want a Shining TV show, but I'll wait and see what it is before I condemn it.
Yeah, it just depends on the style and direction, really. I mean, I don't really want them to have the main characters from the movie or the book in it, because I don't really want to see them like the concern with this is if it's a sequel or a prequel, if they do too much prequelist, because Doctor Sleep was actually a pretty solid movie by a good director that was at its worst when it had to be a sequel to The Shining.
I agree with that, actually.
Well, the third act is probably the worst part of that movie, because it went full on Shining, nostalgia mode.
I love when it's going all like creepy cult stuff and supernatural angle.
When it's doing its own thing, when it's doing its own plot about its own characters, doing its own thing. I'd also cut the first 20 minutes; they felt pointless. But
it's overlong. Don't get me wrong. I agree with that.
But it's at its worst when it's been a Shining sequel, and I feel like. And that's not to say that I hate that the main character is the kid from The Shining. That's fine, but it's at its worst when it's actually trying to connect to other stuff in The Shining and reminding you of things in The Shining for nostalgia's sake. So I'd hope that this show avoids that. I am not optimistic, because most things don't avoid that. But whether it's sequel or prequel, and we do all the prequel things where, hey, this is the origin of that one ghost in The Shining. This is the origin of that other ghost in The Shining.
Oh, look, it's the twins.
Yeah, because they'll totally do it. I feel like they probably are. So... Next up, Duster. So this is the one that obviously we know nothing about. This is co-written by Abrams and LaToya Morgan, who worked on The Walking Dead. Not a showrunner though, just one of the writers. So
I won't hold it against her.
Duster is set in the 1970s Southwest. It revolves around the life of a gusty gateway driver for a growing crime syndicate that goes from awful to wildly, stupidly, dangerously awful. That was a hard sentence to say.
I'll let you off on that one.
Yeah, I really had to think about that.
I was going to give you shit for messing up that sentence and leaving me confused, but then you actually got through the rest of it, and yeah. Yeah,
obviously there's not a whole lot there. Given the way they've written that ending, though, it makes it sound like it's going to... I've got a sense of
tongue-in-cheek, maybe.
Yeah, either tongue-in-cheek, maybe a sense of humor, or at the very least be over the top. Like, it feels like it's going to not be dry, based on the end of that description.
Based on just that last handful of words. Yeah, I agree with that.
So yeah, it's called Duster. So we'll see how that is. And then obviously the DC Comics show obviously was something that's close to us, because we do a DC Comics podcast called Comics from the Multiverse. You may want to check it out. Although it's on hiatus for a few weeks because there's no comic books right now, but that's neither here nor there.
Returning soon.
Justice League Dark is a branch of the Justice League dedicated to dealing with mystical and supernatural threats. First appearing in September 2011 issue Justice League Dark issue 1. I guess that's true.
As their own fledged team,
yeah.
Yes, that is true.
All the characters were from before that, though, obviously. So it features characters with mostly occult and offbeat, including John Constantine, Mystic and Fortune Teller, Madame Xanadu, Deadman, Shade, The Changing Man, and Zatanna. The roster is much larger. Members join later on, with Swamp Thing being added in issue 19. I like that they mentioned him. I was like, yeah, Swamp Thing's kind of the biggest one that's not mentioned there when we get to
Although, to be fair, like I said, he did come a bit later, so I get why. Although now he's part of the team.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's not really any specific indication of like what the focus of the show is going to be. So, I think we all naturally assume, it'll be a team of these characters taking on supernatural threats, but there's no actual any confirmation of that yet.
No, and we don't know what lineup it'll be, because there's been many different people in and out of whatever team it is as to whatever writer wants at that time.
Yeah, so I mean, it probably will be that, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being like, oh, it's Justice League Dark universe, but it's focusing on something specific, or like, because I mean, I don't even know if they're officially calling it Justice League Dark yet. I mean, all the articles are calling it that, because I mean, what else would you call it? But it seems very vague right now as to what it actually is. So we'll see. But honestly, there's been so many Justice League Dark movies and TV shows in the works over the past 10 or 15 years. Well, not 15, because this comic's only like 9 years old, but it feels like almost
It's because Del Toro had it in production or pre-production for years that it feels like it was just always happening.
But it has to be essentially right from when it launched, though, right? Because like that Del Toro project was around for a long ass time.
It was around for a while. It must have been within a year or so of it launching.
And then there was other movies after that sort of
honestly
failed or didn't happen.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Del Toro thing was around in concept before that, as just, it's the magical, like a magical Justice League team, but they didn't have the name of it yet.
Maybe, yeah.
Because that's not a hard concept to come up with.
Which is why when it says the team first appeared Justice League Dark issue 1, I guess that's technically true, but I feel like the idea has been around for longer.
Yeah, we've had magical team ups and of more than just two characters doing a story here or there in the past, for sure.
So yeah, but whatever. There you go. Justice League Dark, Overlook, and Duster. So one seemingly completely original thing, and then adaptation of a comic book property, and then a sort of sequel, prequel, whatever it ends up being, based on something that just got a sequel, which is kind of what makes it weird. But hey ho.
Yeah.
Next up, we get a television adaptation of a video game. Myst has moving forward, with X-Men First Class writer Ashley Edward Miller has signed to the Village Roadshow Entertainment Group, their project of Myst, which I've never played. It's an old CD-ROM FMV adventure puzzle game, right?
I'm vaguely familiar with it, but I've never played it. I've never watched much of it.
Well, does it say anything interesting about it here? First-person graphic adventure video game. Does it give me some plot? Oh, here we go. The Myst canon has over 10,000 years of history. All right. But its primary saga follows Atris, a brilliant, if a bit naive, grandson of Anna, a woman who triggers a world-shaping set of events when she discovers the Dani civilization in a cavern deep below the New Mexico desert. The Dani have a unique ability to write books that can link to other worlds. The discovery of this ability and their clash of cultures is the catalyst for the Myst novels and games. So... okay, so it's a bit like Stargate, but instead of a science fiction gate that leads to other planets, it's a book that magically leads to other
It's a bit more supernatural instead, yeah.
But yeah, so no, I ever played Myst. This was in an era when I was too young, and I didn't actually have a PC that played games until I was much. I was a console person as a kid.
As a kid, I played PC games, but I stuck almost exclusively to FPSs and RTS games.
Yeah. It's a avenue that I never really get into. I've played a couple of FMV games in later years out of like a sort of curiosity, but
mostly not aged particularly well.
Yeah, but some of them have not aged well in a really good way, though.
that is true. I will grant you that.
Phantasmagoria 2, Puzzle of the Flesh is worth playing through.
The problem with a lot of them is they're really obtuse in their solutions, that there is only one correct solution, and it's not obvious at all.
No, it doesn't make
It's from
sense.
that era where you couldn't beat a level of a game without learning the exact thing from a book, because they wanted to sell you the book.
Phantasmagoria 2, which is one that I played on stream, like, there were some really weird solutions to things that you only really got to by trying every possible thing, even that didn't make sense. And then you eventually got the answer. The only thing that completely stumped me to the point where I had to just look up the solution is there's a puzzle at the end of the game, right at the end. It's like the last thing you do in the game. We're in like an alternate dimension, and it's this like weird like circuit board, and it's just made of weird different things. There's cables, there's buttons, there's spinny things, and you can manipulate all of them. And I have no idea how you're meant to figure any of this shit out.
No, the answer is buy the book that tells you.
I
think was it a Sonic game or a Mario game? There was something from around that era where there was like a bit that was borderline impossible if you didn't, buy the book and read the exact steps of how to do this thing, or know someone who bought the book and stole it from them, of course. But it was all just to sell you the guide.
Yeah. Or I think in Nintendo's case, it was more a case of Nintendo Power, because they'd have the hints and tips section.
Yes.
So that was more of an ongoing thing where if you keep getting the magazine, you'll always have they'll just see those really difficult parts that are intentionally impossible.
Exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, next up, 7-figure deal. Amazon Studios has beaten out more than 10 film and TV offers to win the screen rights to Q-Code mystery sci-fi podcast, The Left Right Game. And the producers include Tessa Thompson, who of course is an actress, who's known for a bunch of things, right now on Westworld. And she was on the podcast. She actually was one of the voice actors on the podcast, which is obviously why she's involved.
Okay.
So in the audio drama, the idealistic journalist, played by Thompson, tries to make a name for herself by following a group of paranormal explorers obsessed with seemingly harmless pastime known as the Left-Right Game. The journey takes her into a supernatural world that she and other members of the expedition cannot handle or survive. So there's no indication here that she will actually star in the show. I mean, it's entirely possible that she may end up doing so anyway, but at least right now that's not the news. She's producing this. She was in the podcast.
I will say it's possible because Amazon has the money to throw at people of that level.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't, count on it either, like you say.
Yeah. So the premise sounds fun. I get why this was a podcast first. It sounds like the sort of thing you could put into a drama podcast.
Yeah.
So makes some sense. But yeah, so Amazon Studios, film and TV rights. It doesn't seem to be. Executive producers of Amazon's TV adaptation. Yeah, so there was definitely going to be a TV series, because I was going to say there, it didn't really specify before that point if it was going to be a film project or a TV project, but it does say later on it's Amazon's TV adaptation. So
I would hope that Variety and or Deadline had at least put it in the appropriate section as TV, and that is why we were talking about it.
I mean, yes, it's in the correct section. That is true.
Yeah. But which site was it?
It was Deadline. But the funny thing is that sometimes like they'll have stuff that are clearly more of a film article in the TV section, and I have to kind of dodge them. It does happen.
There'll be a TV element buried somewhere in the article, like a reference to a TV show.
Yeah. So it does happen, which is why I do have to double check these things sometimes when I'm reading the article and go, oh, wait a minute, is this actually a TV article? Because sometimes they sneak by me. But no, TV article. So, yeah, I mean, premise sounds fun. Sounds like the sort of thing we could get into.
I agree. I could be into that show.
So, presumably this is for Amazon Prime, although again, it doesn't actually say that. It says Amazon's TV department's making it. It doesn't necessarily mean they'll air it on Amazon. It's most likely going to go to Amazon Prime, but
I can't think of any examples as of yet that Amazon Studios have made a thing and not put it on Prime.
Mm-hmm.
At least when it comes to like TV shows, their movie studio angle is a little bit different. But I mean, they could prove me wrong.
Yeah. And then finally on the news this week, like I say, it was going to be a shorter show. It was always going to be a shorter show. So Netflix have announced a Korean zombie series. And yes, you've been mistaken for thinking, wait, they already have a Korean original zombie series. Well, they're going to have a second one. It's called All of Us Are Dead. I like the title, if nothing else.
This sounds like it might be more funny.
Yeah, maybe a bit more teen focused though, based on my glance ahead. So it's based on a popular webtoon called Now at Our School.
The danger bells are ringing.
All of Us Are Dead is focused on a group of high school students who are faced with an extreme crisis situation when they become trapped in their school while a zombie virus spreads like wildfire. The source material webtoon has been successful in Korea and also well received in Indonesia, Thailand, and Taiwan, as the digital comics have been significant in uptake. So, I mean, just because it's set in high school doesn't mean it's going to be bad, right? There's some stuff that I love that's set in high school. See, the hit television show, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But
the problem is you hear that and then you hear the word webtoon.
Yes, webtoon. I'll be honest, I never heard the phrase webtoon until this article. That is a new word to me.
I'm kind of assuming it's just a webcomic, but it's whatever the phrase. That's the particular phrase they use in that part of the world.
Yes. I think when I first glanced at it, I figured that it was like a web series that was animated.
No, but they specifically mentioned digital comics there, didn't they?
Yeah, yeah. So,
I'm thinking just like, because I've read a couple of decent webcomics. I'm sure there are a lot more out there. Don't get me wrong. I'm not just saying that there's only two, but I've personally only read a couple of good ones. But if it's just their kind of phrase for that, the concern is it is more teen focused.
Yeah,
the word toon.
It's being produced by Lee JQ, who has previously worked on. This is an interesting list: Beethoven Virus.
I'm in.
Demo, the Legendary Policewoman, and
I'm in.
Intimate Strangers.
Yeah, okay, you got to convince me on that one.
So yes, I've got to go out on a limb here and say they're all a bit quirky, and this is sounding like it's going to be quirky as well. So we'll see. So they already have Kingdom, of course, which is their kind of period piece, zombie original from Korea. So I mean, maybe this will also be interesting.
I think it's fine because you say, "Oh, Korean zombie show." I'm like, "Oh, we've done that already," and like, well, no, these sound very different.
They do sound very different. This is not a critique of there can't be more than one. It's just kind of weird how there's a very limited number of Korean Netflix originals, and it's weird to be doing a second zombie one this quickly.
People like zombies.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they can knock themselves out. I mean, I as far as Korean zombie entertainment goes, it's the sequel to Train to Busan Peninsula that I'm looking forward to. The trailer for that was rather encouraging.
I really need to watch the first one, don't I?
You do have to watch Train to Busan.
Every time I look at it, it's just a bit longer than I'm willing to sit down and watch a movie for.
You won't.
It's like 2.5, isn't it? And it's like 2.5 or 2 hours 20. It's a bit longer than every time. I'm like, do you know what? I'm in the mood for like a 90-minute, maybe a 2-hour movie, and it's just like, it's a bit long.
You won't care when you're watching. Trust me.
I'll get to it.
Once you're into it, you won't care. I can guarantee it. There you go. That's news. That is the TV news. Don't know when we'll have another episode of TV news because obviously the world's in a weird place right now, and news isn't exactly flowing consistently. This week had some stuff which I thought was worth talking about, but we'll see going forward. So it's worth mentioning a couple of things though. Obviously, we just finished reviewing Devs. That ended because it has been a few weeks, obviously a month even since the last episode. We can tell you about all the things going on.
We've done half the show since we last spoke to you.
Yeah, obviously Westworld season 3 is going on, as is Better Call Saul is almost done. Better Call Saul has one more episode. It's been a phenomenal season. Big thing I need to promote to you though is that our Patreon, patreon.com/MailFuzzTV. Obviously we always pimp that out at the end here, but we just started reviewing 6 Feet Under in an audio only already cancelled series, which is exclusive to Patreon at the $1 tier. So if you want to support us, you can do that for as little as $1, and you get an exclusive review series of 6 Feet Under. First one went up just earlier this week, so that's just started rolling out. So hopefully that's of interest to some people. But of course, $5 tier you get early access to some stuff, voting rights to other things, and so on and so on. So go and have a look.
Yeah, I'm just looking at our schedule. What else is coming? We should probably mention that our Star Trek reviews, our Next Generation ones, have gone twice a week at the minute.
Yeah. This been up a little bit because there's not a lot of TV on. So yeah.
Yeah, and the only other things that I have to mention that I don't think were in the news before this is we have a premiere date for Homecoming season 2.
Yep.
Which is the 23rd of May. Just working out the date there. And so Interesting to see what that's going to be, because obviously it's a different director taking it on this time. See how it goes. But we'll definitely be checking that out. And the other thing that we should mention is the Snowpiercer date did change slightly. That moved forward. So it's now airing on the 17th of May. So we'll be checking that out as well.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll be trying all these things. Obviously, we'll see if any of them take. In terms of what we tried in the last month, I mean, the one thing that springs to mind is Tales from the Loop, from Amazon. So the review of the first episode of that is up. Obviously, we didn't do any more of it, although I was a bit more positive than Connor was. So maybe go and check out that and see if you want a recommendation or not. I
didn't hate it, but it wasn't necessarily for me. But I mean, it's worth checking out if you've got Amazon already, I suppose.
Yeah. So yeah, that is us. So by all means, let us know what you thought of any of the news items in the comments. Like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at @mailed_fuzz for channel updates. We mentioned Patreon, of course, and keep watching TV. And have you got any vanillas?